And we're back with more of the Shacknews Awards 2023. The next category we're going to be chatting about is Best Add-on. We've renamed the category. This used to be Best DLC, and DLC is just so convoluted now as a term. We've decided to break it up into Best Add-on, and then there's another category called Best Expansion. So this is Best Add-on. I'm gonna hit you with 3 nominees for this category. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, Dimension Shellshock added some new characters, I believe, like 2 new characters and
Yeah,
some cool
Jumbo.
movesets. And then Dead Cells Return to Castlevania, which is like a come to Jesus moment for that franchise. Very cool to see that crossover. And probably the winner, Resident Evil 4 The Mercenaries DLC, which came out this fall and kind of tied a perfect bow on the RE4 remake for this year. So those nominees, who would like to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I love what Dimension Shell Shock has done with the idea of not just adding the new characters, as you said, Asif, but also the roguelike mode, where you're
Mm,
basically playing with your friends, jumping across dimensions to uh, taking on remixed boss battles and jumping across different backdrops. I love the backgrounds that they've added. Like at least early on, like you get to jump across like the old school comic panels. Like I thought that was really cool. And then like as you finish each stage, you get to like kind of take a reward Hades style. And eventually you build up a meter and you get to turn into one of the bosses. You can fight as Shredder at one
yeah,
point. How cool is that? Everybody's always wanted to be Shredder, at least for a little bit, you know? Like it's a sort of a different way to play the game. It mixes up the formula and it's a lot of fun.
the game just without this was already so awesome. Like, I find it hard to pick it up and not just beat it in one sitting. So I think that's a sign of a great game. And yeah, adding more to it, making it more rewarding for replaying. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Playing a Shredder also awesome. Uh,
Yeah, I was gonna say I have gotten more friends to play this game because of the update, and it already was pretty awesome as is. But having up to 6 players in this is pretty cool. Definitely enjoying the characters, the Jimbo, the Samurai Bunny. Uh, Pretty clean combat.
mhm,
I've had a good time. New soundtrack stuff in there too, and yeah,
yeah.
Shredder, pretty sweet.
I mean, having that much longevity in a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up is like really impressive. Like to take that formula and be able to keep adding to it, or just add different modes and keep people engaged with it. Because David will agree with me on this one. Those games didn't take very long to beat sometimes. Like once you beat them, like that was it. There were no hidden paths for some of them, and then you just play through it, and that was done of it. But this, you can go back
That
and
was
yeah,
definitely during the arcade era,
yeah.
right? That there wasn't branching
Hmm.
paths, and they were just trying to get your quarters. So
Like
they were,
when's the last time we've
You're muted,
seen a
David.
game with that kind of longevity? Like the last time I can think it was Castle Crashers.
mhm,
I was gonna say those arcade games were actually so short. Like they felt
mhm,
long as a kid because you always ran out of money before you could
Yeah,
finish them, and then you realize like,
yeah.
oh, Golden Axe is only 5 levels. Wow,
yep. I think there's that transition from arcade to home consoles where the design philosophies didn't change as fast. So there was that 8-bit era of very hard games that were actually short.
yeah.
But they were hard because they wanted your quarters. And
Yes.
Very minor tangent.
mhm,
It's interesting to see. It's easier to compare this with the older beat 'em ups now that you can actually play the older beat 'em ups with Street Fighter 6 through the Battle Hub. So
yeah.
I love being able to see it through that prism and playing the older games and be like, oh, this is how Shredder's Revenge can kind of compare to that. You know?
The other thing that was really smart about this add-on launching this year is that movie, right? Mutant Mayhem came out this
Yeah.
year, and they're like Turtles in general. That whole franchise is just kind of popping off
Mhm.
this year. So it
We
was really well
nominated
timed.
we nominated Turtles for best comeback last year. I remember,
The
and it's
franchise,
still going.
yeah, the
I will.
franchise I'd say is going even better this year than it was last year.
I will step in to say that the last time we had a beat 'em up with this kind of longevity was the other .emu beat 'em up, Streets of Rage 4,
Yeah.
which also did this survival mode, added characters, and kind of just like cranked it out in a really good way. They had the blueprint. They had the blueprint ready to go, and they executed perfectly.
With a bigger IP than Streets of Rage. So like yeah, it's just I can't wait to see where this goes for them because they are now kings of the side-scrolling beat 'em ups.
Mhm.
And I think Shredder's Revenge it built on Streets of Rage 4 because what you could play 6 players co-op in Shredder's Revenge. Was it 4 in Streets of Rage 4 or was it 2?
You can play 4 players in Streets of Rage 4.
Okay. Yeah, so and am I wrong in saying that Shredder's Revenge has crossplay? Or
It
does
does.
it?
You
It
can
does.
through
I remember
through
tried to make
Epic.
it work once, and we had
Mhm.
problems, but it does
Yeah.
have it.
You have to do it through Epic accounts on every
right.
on every platform.
So they're using Epic Online services, but that's still cool. Like I think for getting your friends together when crossplay is an option, it just makes things a lot easier.
Mhm.
I wish it became
Indeed.
more of an industry standard. On to the next one. Dead Cells Return to Castlevania. This came out what kind of earlier in the year, but very solid. Dead Cells is awesome. I suck at it, but it's still an excellent game.
March.
And it always felt like a Castlevania, so seeing them get Castlevania add-on here definitely deserves
love
a
it.
nomination.
The game
I
that
love
it's
it when
based
you
on,
get-
got a got
Yeah.
a
I love it when
DLC.
you get a hypothetical like, man, what if Dead Cells made a Castlevania, and then they're like, okay, it would look like this. Here it is.
Yeah. I don't know what the equivalent would be like. I don't know, Vampire Survivors getting like a Gauntlet crossover or something, like something very random like that. But yeah, it's Dead Cells is great. Still, all these years later, it's still an excellent video game. So this just made an excellent video game even better. And it kind of felt it's not exactly like the Jean-Claude Van Damme moment for Mortal Kombat, but for Dead Cells to get Castlevania as an add-on is I think a pretty huge moment for that studio, and it's cool to see. It's cool to see an indie game.
The only complaint I've seen about it is that it's too short. People want more.
But that game is hard. Like it's not like oh I got gypped. You have like 80 hours in the game, even if it is short, just because of how punishing it is, and also the replayability it comes from. Like it's got some roguelike elements that I think make you keep coming back to it. But yeah, that's a silly thing to say that is too short. But yeah, awesome. On to the next one. Resident Evil 4: The Mercenaries. TJ, I think you were writing up impressions on this for us.
Yeah. It's a free update for one. Like they just put it in there. You didn't have to pay $1 for it. They put it on top of the game. I don't even think you have to beat the game to access it since it's an add-on now. And what a cool little innovation on it. They made it so like every character, they still have like their personalized arsenals that they come to around with, but they also have like a special meter where they bust out and all do different things. Like Louise can drop TNT at his feet that is super good for clearing a whole bunch of enemies at once. Obviously, Krauser has his funny little arm that he can swing around. And it's really neat how I think they made it a bit easier than the previous Mercenaries mode, but it was still like a good score attack mode where you just see how far you can go, see how long you can keep your combo going, try to make sure you get bonus time around the maps, and then watch out for like the special monsters that come out and can end you in like one swing.
Nice. Dude, do you have anything to add on about
I
this
just
add-on?
it's not surprising. It's expected. Like Mercenaries has kind of been part and parcel of Resident Evil since I think RE3 Classic when it was introduced.
Mhm.
But it's always fun here. Like TJ said, they add some new wrinkles to it. It's actually like Resident Evil 4. We'll get more into this in another category, but there's a lot of horror. There's more horror in it than there was in the original game, and so Mercenaries I think is even more valuable as a way to just kind of de-stress and just go all out against enemies and not worry about being scared at all. Just like all the guns, all the ammo, have fun with it. It's a really fun mode. Always is.
Yeah, it's even highlighted by the fact that when you can talk to your friends. So how did you get that score? And then they show you how to do it. It's a little bit different now with the YouTube generation, but I remember with Resident Evil 4, the original one, it was like, how did you get that high score? And he showed me. I'm like, wow, so you got to go that path, hit that first, then do this, and he breaks down into the meta. That's a lot of fun, and it still exists in the remake as well.
Cool. Well, those are the 3 nominees. I say we should get voting on this. What do you guys think?
Let's do it.
I'm gonna start with Denny. What you got, Denny?
I'm gonna show some love to the good old Turtles. Really enjoyed the add-on, and I think it's worth giving some attention to.
Nice. So 1 vote for TMNT Dimension Shellshock. David.
And a surprise to absolutely no one, Resident Evil 4 Mercenaries.
Okay. Donovan.
I'll go Resident Evil Mercenaries as well.
I'm gonna hold off on voting. Greg.
I'm gonna give love to Turtles. I like Resident Evil 4 and the other ones, but Turtles is good. Turtles is really good.
TJ.
The Mercs.
Okay. Ozzy.
I'm also going to say Turtles.
Bill.
Mercenaries.
Steve.
I'll go Turtles.
Okay. So we have a tie here. What did
It's like a
Sam
tennis match.
What did Sam put?
Sam likes Turtles.
He does?
I don't think
No,
we
he
should
doesn't.
trust Greg.
No, he doesn't. He voted for Dead Cells.
Oh, Sam!
He voted for Dead Cells. So right now it's 4 votes to 4 votes to 1 vote, leaving me with the deciding vote. I love these moments.
Leaving me.
The benevolent dictator of Shacknews gets to determine the winner here. Oh, man. I'm not voting for Dead Cells because that's obviously not going to win. David, you mentioned it. The Mercenaries are kind of a thing. It's been a thing. It'll continue to be a thing. Dimension Shellshock, though, that's probably the only add-on we're getting for this game. I know that there may be DLC for RE4. I doubt there's more DLC for RE4 either, but I'm gonna go for Turtles. I think Dimension Shellshock is awesome. I already love that game. The being able to play as the bosses, the new mode, the roguelike mode, I just think it's this year. It's been the Turtles year.
Yeah.
It just kind of has been. And
I
I
think
have
you gotta
a
be
feeling
ways to have fun with the game, outside of just if they take that into consideration with the add-on, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it adds a lot of value to the game experience already, and it also, like you said, it brought more people back to play as friends, with your friends. Yeah, go ahead.
It can't be understated how much people wanted Usagi as well. Usagi Yojimbo, that was a bucket list item that a lot of folks wanted for TMNT, but they said straight up that making a character is hard to do with all the animations they do, but they went and did it anyways.
Yep.
So good for them.
Yep. So congratulations to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, Dimension Shellshock. You are the Shacknews Award winner for Best Add-on of the Year 2023.